The command deck of the Galactic Empire's flagship buzzed with controlled energy. Holographic displays hovered in the dimly lit room, casting eerie blue glows over alien faces etched with curiosity and superiority. General Kraven, a towering figure with translucent skin that shimmered with each subtle movement, stood at the center, his piercing, multi-lensed eyes fixed on the rotating projection of Earth. This insignificant sphere, Kraven began, his voice laced with disdain, teems with primitive life forms. It is laughable that these creatures dare claim dominion over their world. A murmured agreement rippled through the room, but one figure stood silent. Commander Jareth, shorter than Kraven but no less imposing with his steel-gray exosuit and thoughtful expression, examined the data scrolling past the hologram. Perhaps their strength lies not in size, General, Jareth offered carefully. Earth's creatures have survived conditions far harsher than many of our worlds. Kraven scoffed, the sound reverberating in the chamber like metal scraping against stone. Do not mistake endurance for power, Commander. Size, strength, and control. That is the true measure of worth. He turned to the hologram. Show me their most formidable creatures. The projection shifted, cycling through Earth's apex predators. Lions, grizzly bears, great white sharks, and crocodiles. Each image came with detailed statistics: bite force, speed, size. Kraven dismissed them with a wave of his six-fingered hand. They are nothing but relics of a savage past. Perhaps we should allow them to prove their worth, Jareth suggested. His tone was measured, but there was a hint of challenge in his words. A demonstration in the beast arena. Kraven's mandibles clicked in thought. A spectacle for the galaxy to witness Earth's inferiority? An intriguing proposition. Below, in the sterile holding area of the ship, Josh Scout, Riley and his team of human representatives stood in tense silence. The weight of the negotiations hung heavily in the air. Riley, a lean man with sun-weathered skin and sharp blue eyes, watched the alien guards with a practiced calm. His hand rested lightly on the edge of his utility belt, a gesture that seemed casual but wasn't. "We're not here to beg," Riley muttered under his breath to his second-in-command, Logan Hayes, a burly man with a perpetual scowl. "They think they can intimidate us. Let's prove them wrong." Logan grunted in agreement. "Just hope they don't pick the wrong animal. The last thing we need is to embarrass ourselves in front of half the galaxy." The two were summoned to the command deck, where Kraven awaited with an air of condescension. The hologram now displayed a rotating image of Earth's predators, each flickering with statistical overlays. "We have decided," Kraven announced. "You shall present one of these creatures to face our champion in the beast arena. Choose wisely, humans." Riley glanced at the projections, his mind racing. He knew this was less about showcasing Earth's strength and more about the aliens flaunting their superiority. They'd rigged the fight before it began. Still, he refused to let their arrogance go unanswered. "Choose," Riley echoed. "You mean to say you haven't already made up your mind?" Kraven's mandibles twitched, betraying a sliver of annoyance. "Humor me, human." Josh's sharp gaze flicked across the predators. He hesitated only briefly, then pointed to a small, seemingly insignificant creature nestled among the data streams, a honey badger. The alien scientists in the room erupted into laughter, their voices a cacophony of clicks and hisses. "That," Kraven said, incredulous. "That tiny thing? This must be a joke." Josh's expression didn't waver. "Not a joke. You wanted to see Earth's true resilience. That's it right there." Jareth leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Why this one?" "Because," Riley replied, his voice steady, "it doesn't know how to quit. It doesn't care about size or strength. It just fights, no matter the odds." Kraven snorted. "A sentimental choice. Very well. We shall humor your delusion." The decision was made. The honey badger, nicknamed Chomper by its handlers, was transferred to the aliens' containment area under the watchful eye of Riley and his team. The tiny creature hissed and clawed at its enclosure, its black and white fur bristling with aggression. Despite its size, it exuded an aura of raw defiance. As the preparation for the event commenced, Kraven took to the communication platform, broadcasting a message across the galaxy. Alien spectators from countless worlds tuned in, eager to see the latest spectacle in the Beast Arena. The stage was set. A genetically engineered monstrosity from the Empire's breeding labs would face Earth's unassuming challenger. In the hours before the fight, Jareth approached Riley in the observation chamber. The commander's expression was unreadable, his movements measured. "You seem confident," Jareth said, breaking the silence. Confident enough, Riley replied without looking away from the containment unit. "This isn't about size or strength. It's about heart. You'll see." Jareth studied the human for a long moment. "You believe in this creature?" "I believe in what it represents," Riley said. "It's a part of Earth, just like us." As the announcement blared across the ship, Riley felt a surge of resolve. The aliens thought they had already won, but they didn't understand Earth. They didn't understand what it meant to face something that refused to give up. The Beast Arena loomed, a cavernous dome illuminated by harsh lights and lined with rows of alien spectators. Chomper was led into the arena, its small frame dwarfed by the vastness of the space. Opposite it, the Trachnor emerged, a towering, six-legged monstrosity with venomous fangs and armored scales that shimmered like obsidian. The crowd erupted into cheers and jeers as the combatants took their positions. General Kraven, seated in a gilded observation throne, raised a clawed hand to silence the noise. "Behold," he boomed, "Earth's so-called predator faces the might of the Empire. Let this be a lesson to all who dare challenge us." Riley leaned forward in his seat, his heart pounding. The tension was palpable. The arena's energy crackled like a storm about to break. He glanced at Chomper, the unassuming creature, now Earth's unlikely champion. "Show them," Riley whispered under his breath. "Show them what you're made of." As the gongs sounded, signaling the start of the battle, the Trachnor roared, a deafening sound that shook the arena. Chomper, unfazed, bared its teeth and lunged forward. Riley allowed himself a faint smile. The aliens had no idea what was coming. The arena fell silent as the gong's echo faded into the metallic walls. All eyes were on the two combatants. The Trachnor, a monstrous amalgamation of claws, venom, and raw power, and the Honey Badger, a creature no larger than the alien handlers who'd corralled it into the battlefield. It was a laughable mismatch to the spectators, who had come expecting a quick and brutal end. The Trachnor moved first, its 6 legs pounding the ground with a force that shook the arena's floor. It snarled, a guttural sound that reverberated through the air, exposing rows of serrated teeth dripping with venom. Chomper stood its ground, the white stripe along its back flaring as its fur bristled. There was no fear in the small creature's beady eyes, only a primal defiance. General Kraven leaned back in his throne, a smug grin playing across his lips. "This will be over in seconds," he said, his voice dripping with condescension. "Your so-called predator will serve as a cautionary tale for all lesser species." Josh Riley, seated in the human delegation's box, crossed his arms and said nothing. His team exchanged uneasy glances, but Josh's focus never wavered. He studied Chomper, watching for the first move. The Honey Badger crouched low, its muscles coiled like springs. The Trachnor lunged, its massive frame moving with surprising speed. A collective gasp swept through the crowd as its claws slashed downward, aiming to crush its diminutive opponent. But Chomper darted to the side, the blow missing by inches. It moved with an agility that seemed impossible for something so small. The Honey Badger retaliated, leaping forward and sinking its teeth into the Trachnor's foreleg. Alien blood spurted from the wound, dark and viscous, as the crowd erupted into a mix of cheers and jeers. The Trachnor howled, shaking its leg violently to dislodge the attacker. Chomper was flung across the arena, landing hard on the ground, but it scrambled back to its feet as though nothing had happened. Commander Jareth watched with growing fascination. He leaned toward Riley, who sat stone-faced. You knew it would fight like this, didn't you? Riley's eyes never left the arena. I knew it wouldn't back down. That's all it needed to do. The Trachnor, now visibly enraged, circled its smaller foe. Its wounds, though minor, dripped steadily onto the arena floor, each drop hissing as it hit the ground. Venom coursed through the beast's body, but Chomper seemed unaffected by the initial strike. The honey badger charged again, this time aiming for the creature's flank. Its claws raked across the Trachnor's armored hide, finding soft tissue between the scales. Blood sprayed again, and the alien audience's jeers turned to murmurs of uncertainty. The honey badger's attacks were surgical, targeting weak points with a ferocity that belied its size. Each strike was precise, calculated, and unrelenting. The Trachnor lashed out with its tail, a whip-like appendage tipped with venomous barbs. It caught Chomper on the side, sending the small creature tumbling once more. This time, the audience expected the fight to end. The blow would have incapacitated most creatures, but Chomper rose again, snarling. The wound on its side oozed blood, but the honey badger pressed forward undeterred. It was a creature born to endure, to survive. Nothing short of death would stop it. Kraven's confidence began to waver. His mandibles clicked nervously as he turned to his advisors. What is wrong with the Trachnor? Why isn't it finishing the fight? One of the scientists hesitated before responding. The Earth creature, it's more resilient than we anticipated. Its endurance and aggression are far beyond what we predicted. That insignificant thing, Kraven snapped. Fix it. Now. The Trachnor, sensing the rising tension from its handlers, redoubled its efforts. It charged at Chomper, each step thunderous, shaking the ground beneath them. Chomper didn't retreat. Instead, it lunged forward, meeting the beast head-on. The honey badger clamped its jaws onto the Trachnor's face, clawing at its eyes with reckless abandon. The Trachnor howled in agony, its massive frame thrashing wildly as it tried to shake Chomper loose. Blood poured from its wounds, staining the ground in dark pools. The honey badger held on, its jaws locked in a death grip. With a desperate twist, the Trachnor slammed its head into the ground, finally dislodging the smaller creature. Chomper landed hard, its body limp for a moment. The crowd held its breath, waiting to see if the fight was over. Slowly, the honey badger rose again, its fur matted with blood, both its own and the Trachnor's. It hissed, baring its teeth in a display of defiance that sent a shiver through even the most hardened spectators. Riley allowed himself a faint smile. "That's Earth," he muttered. Jarrett turned to him, his expression unreadable. "This fight isn't over. Your creature can't win." Riley met his gaze. "It doesn't have to win. It just has to fight." The Trachnor, now visibly wounded and wary, hesitated before its next move. Its once unstoppable confidence had been replaced with something else, fear. The honey badger had done what no other opponent ever had. It had made the beast doubt its own superiority. Kraven, desperate to maintain control, barked orders to the scientists. Enhance its aggression. Override its instincts if you have to. The scientists scrambled to comply, their hands flying across glowing consoles. The Trachnor's movements became more erratic, its roars more frenzied. It lashed out with claws, teeth, and tail, but Chomper evaded each attack with an almost supernatural agility. It was as though the honey badger knew exactly where to strike and when to retreat. With a final, deafening roar, the Trachnor lunged for Chomper, its jaws snapping shut inches from the smaller creature. Chomper darted beneath the beast, claws raking across its unprotected underbelly. The Trachnor reared back, its body trembling, before collapsing onto the ground with a thunderous crash. The arena fell silent. For a moment no one moved. Then, slowly, Chomper emerged from beneath the Trachnor's lifeless body, its fur streaked with blood, but its eyes blazing with victory. It let out a low, guttural growl, a sound that echoed through the stunned crowd. Kraven rose from his throne, his expression a mix of rage and disbelief. This is impossible. That creature is an anomaly. Jareth, still seated, watched the scene unfold with a faint smile. Perhaps it's not the creature that's the anomaly, General. Perhaps it's our understanding of Earth. Riley leaned back in his seat, a satisfied smirk on his face. That's one way to put it. As Chomper stood victorious in the center of the arena, the spectators' shock began to give way to something else, admiration. The tiny creature had defied the odds, challenging not just the Tracknor, but the very arrogance of the Galactic Empire itself. The gong sounded again, signaling the end of the battle, but the tension in the room remained. This fight had been more than just a spectacle. It had been a statement, a challenge to everything the Empire believed about power and dominance. The arena floor, now streaked with blood and littered with the remnants of the Tracknor's struggle, glimmered under the harsh lights. Chomper, battered but resolute, prowled the battlefield. Each step it took left a faint mark in the blood-soaked dirt, a quiet but defiant proclamation of its victory. Around the arena, the alien spectators sat frozen, their disbelief palpable. The galaxy had watched what should have been a one-sided massacre, and instead witnessed an upset that defied all logic. General Kraven's mandibles twitched in agitation as he clenched the edges of his gilded throne. His multi-lens eyes flickered between the lifeless Tracknor and the small, scrappy predator that had just dismantled it. The sight was an affront to everything he believed about dominance, control, and power. "This is unacceptable," Kraven hissed, his voice low and venomous. "This aberration must not stand." Commander Jareth, seated beside him, turned his head, his expression calm but tinged with something new, respect. "The Earth creature has proven itself formidable, General. Perhaps it's time we reassess our understanding of strength." Kraven shot him a glare, his frustration barely contained. "Strength? Do not be fooled by this anomaly. Strength comes from superiority, not some accident of nature." Jareth said nothing, but his gaze lingered on Chomper, who now paced near the edge of the arena, its sharp eyes scanning the crowd as if daring anyone to challenge it. The creature's unyielding spirit fascinated him, its resilience reminiscent of something deeper, a quality he had not seen in years of serving the Empire. In the human delegation's box, Josh Riley and his team exhaled in relief. Logan Hayes leaned forward, his large hands gripping the railing. "Well, I'll be damned. That little guy actually did it." Josh allowed himself a faint smile. Chomper didn't just fight. It sent a message. And if we play this right, that message is going to stick. Logan turned to him, frowning. "You really think the aliens are going to let this slide?" Kraven's not exactly the forgiving type. "No, he's not," Josh replied, his expression darkening. "But that's why we're here, to make sure they don't forget what just happened." Kraven's voice cut through the air, amplified by the arena's sound system. "This farce is over. The Empire's will remain unchallenged. The Tracknor's loss changes nothing." The crowd murmured, their loyalty to the Empire shaken. Whispers of doubt rippled through the ranks of spectators, many of whom had never seen one of the Empire's champions fall. Chomper, seemingly oblivious to the political undercurrents, let out a guttural growl that silenced the noise. It stood tall, or as tall as a honey badger could, its fur matted with blood and its body radiating defiance. Jareth leaned forward slightly, his voice low enough for only Kraven to hear. "Perhaps the Empire's will isn't as unchallenged as you claim." Kraven rounded on him, his mandibles clicking in irritation. "Careful, Commander. Your tone borders on insubordination." "Merely an observation," Jareth replied smoothly. "The galaxy is watching, General. They have seen the Empire falter. What happens next will determine whether that faltering becomes a crack." Kraven's mandibles froze mid-click. He turned back to the arena, his mind racing. He knew Jareth was right. This moment was pivotal, not just for the perception of the Empire, but for his own standing within its ranks. A show of weakness here could ripple across the galaxy, emboldening rebellion and dissent. "Then we must ensure the crack is sealed," Kraven muttered, a cruel glint in his eyes. In the control room overlooking the arena, The Empire's scientists worked frantically. Their monitors displayed a torrent of data on Chomper, its vital signs, and the battle. One of them, a thin, nervous alien with translucent skin, turned to the head technician. The general has ordered a countermeasure. He wants the arena's contingency protocols activated. The head technician hesitated, but the Galactic Code prohibits direct interference in... Do you wish to challenge the general's authority? The nervous alien interrupted, his voice trembling. Activate it. Now. Below, the arena's floor began to shift. The blood-stained dirt trembled as hidden panels slid open, revealing mechanical constructs rising from the ground. The crowd gasped as towering droids, sleek and menacing, emerged. Each one bristled with weaponry, their red optics glowing like embers. Josh shot to his feet, his fists clenched. This wasn't part of the deal. Logan swore under his breath. They're rigging it. They're going to wipe Chomper out and call it justice. Not if we can help it, Josh said, his mind racing. He turned to the human delegation's technician, a wiry man named Carter Vaughn. Carter, can you get into their systems? Shut those things down. Carter's fingers flew over his portable console. I can try, but their encryption is insane. I'll need time. Then get to it, Josh ordered. We'll keep them busy. Chomper, undeterred by the sudden appearance of the droids, let out a sharp, guttural hiss. It crouched low, its eyes locked on the nearest machine. The first droid advanced, its metallic limbs moving with precision. A weapon on its arm powered up, crackling with energy. The crowd leaned forward, captivated. This was no longer a test of strength. It was a test of survival. The honey badger didn't wait for the droid to strike first. It lunged, its claws scraping against the machine's leg. Sparks flew as Chomper tore into the droid's joints, its small size allowing it to evade the clumsy swings of the machine's weapons. Jareth watched in awe. It's adapting, he murmured. Even against opponents it's never encountered, it finds a way. Kraven's frustration boiled over. Enough of this nonsense. Destroy it. The droids closed in, their movements more coordinated now. Chomper was forced to retreat, darting between them in a desperate dance of survival. But even as it dodged and weaved, it continued to attack, exploiting every weakness it could find. One droid fell, its legs crumpling as Chomper severed its power conduits. The crowd erupted into cheers, their loyalty to the Empire faltering further. In the control room, Carter's fingers flew across his console. I'm in, he said, his voice tense. But I can't shut them all down remotely. I can disable their targeting systems, buy us some time. Do it, Josh said, his eyes never leaving the arena. The remaining droids faltered, their movements becoming erratic as their targeting systems were overridden. Chomper seized the opportunity, launching itself at another machine. Its claws and teeth tore into exposed wiring, sparks flying in every direction. The droid collapsed with a deafening crash. Kraven rose from his throne, his rage spilling over. This ends now. But before he could issue another order, Jareth stood, his voice cutting through the chaos. General, this is enough? Kraven froze, his eyes narrowing. What did you say? Jareth stepped forward, his voice steady and firm. The galaxy has seen what Earth is capable of. To continue this farce will only deepen the Empire's shame. Let the creature have its victory. Kraven's mandibles quivered with fury, but he knew he was cornered. The crowd, the galaxy, and even his own officers were turning against him. With a sharp motion, he signaled for the droids to stand down. The arena fell silent once more. Chomper stood amidst the wreckage, battered but unbroken, a living testament to resilience. The crowd erupted into thunderous applause, their admiration for the small creature overwhelming. The arena was a battlefield of shattered droids, spilled blood, and fractured pride. Chomper stood at its center, battered yet defiant, a symbol of Earth's unyielding resilience. The once dismissive alien spectators were now transfixed, their cheers blending with murmurs of disbelief. This small, tenacious creature had accomplished the impossible. But the air remained heavy with tension. Victory felt fragile, balanced precariously on a knife's edge. General Kraven's composure cracked as he loomed above the chaos. His mandibles clicked in frustration, his translucent skin pulsing with flashes of muted red. The plan had spiraled beyond his control, and the galaxy was watching every misstep. He couldn't allow this moment to cement itself as a symbol of the Empire's vulnerability. His voice, sharp and cold, echoed across the arena. This farce ends here. The Empire will not be mocked by a mere animal. Commander Jareth, standing at the general's side, turned slowly. His steel-gray exosuit gleamed under the harsh lights, his calm demeanor masking a brewing storm within. General, the galaxy has seen enough. Let this be the moment where the Empire demonstrates honor rather than desperation. Kraven's eyes narrowed, his voice dropping to a venomous whisper. And what would you know of honor, Commander? You sympathize with them. I respect them, Jareth countered, his tone unyielding. This creature, this Earth representative, has earned its victory. To deny it now is to expose our own arrogance and fear. The two locked gazes, a silent battle of wills, playing out between them. Below, in the human delegation's box, Josh Riley observed the exchange with sharp focus. He knew the general wouldn't yield without a final play, and he braced himself for the inevitable. Kraven turned abruptly to his lead scientist. Activate the Trachnor protocol. The scientist hesitated, his clawed hands hovering over the console. General, the Trachnor is no longer viable. The creature... Do it, Kraven roared, his voice a thunderclap of authority. The scientist obeyed, inputting a sequence of commands. Beneath the arena floor, machinery roared to life. The ground trembled as a massive platform began to rise, revealing a towering mechanical beast, a hybrid of alien technology and organic remnants from the fallen Trachnor. It was a monstrosity born of desperation, a creature fused with weaponry and driven by programming that allowed for no hesitation, no mercy. The crowd gasped as a new threat emerged, its crimson optics locking onto Chomper. The honey badger, undeterred, squared its stance, claws digging into the ground. Even as the creature towered above it, Chomper's defiance burned brighter. Of course he'd pull this, Logan Hayes muttered, his knuckles white as he gripped the railing. The man can't stand to lose. Josh's jaw tightened, his mind racing. Carter, what's the status of their control systems? Can we shut this thing down? Carter Vaughn frantically worked his console, sweat beading on his forehead. I'm locked out. Whatever they've done, it's completely isolated from external access. We're on our own. The mechanical monstrosity let out a guttural roar. Its sound an unnatural blend of grinding metal and an echo of the original Trachnor's bellow. It lunged forward with terrifying speed, its claws sweeping toward Chomper in a lethal arc. The honey badger dodged, its movement sharp despite its visible injuries. It retaliated with a vicious swipe, its claws raking across the machine's leg, sparks flying. The crowd, now torn between fear and awe, watched as the uneven battle unfolded. Each strike from the mechanical beast seemed calculated to overwhelm, but Chomper's relentless ferocity kept it in the fight. The honey badger exploited every weakness it could find, targeting exposed wiring and joints with surgical precision. The arena became a cacophony of noise, metal grinding, claws slashing, and the roar of the audience rising to a fever pitch. Jareth stepped forward, his voice cutting through the chaos. General, this will only end in disgrace. Call it off before it's too late. Kraven sneered. Disgrace? The only disgrace is letting them believe they've won. The Empire does not lose. Josh, watching from below, knew the moment had come. He turned to his team, his voice low but firm. We have to end this ourselves. Carter, find me a way into that platform. Logan, be ready for anything. Chomper continued its assault, but the mechanical beast was relentless. It struck with a tail tipped with electrified spikes, narrowly missing the honey badger. The crowd screamed as the energy discharge scorched the ground, sending debris flying. Chomper darted forward, its jaws locking onto the beast's tail. With a mighty wrench, it tore the appendage free, eliciting a shower of sparks and a roar of static from a machine. Josh's eyes narrowed. That's it. It's vulnerable. Carter, get me coordinates on its power core. I'm working on it, Carter replied, his fingers flying over his console. Got it. Center of the chest plate, just below the secondary plating. Josh nodded, his gaze fixed on the battle. Logan, I need you to cover me. We're getting in there. Are you insane? Logan shot back, his expression incredulous. You're gonna walk into that death trap? Not walk. Run, Josh said, a faint smirk crossing his lips. And it's not just for Chomper. This is for Earth. Without waiting for a response, Josh leapt over the railing, landing on the arena floor. Logan cursed under his breath before following, his massive frame landing with a thud. The two humans sprinted toward the platform, dodging debris and keeping low as the battle raged above them. The crowd gasped as the humans entered the fray, their presence adding a new layer of tension. Chomper, sensing their arrival, redoubled its efforts, clawing at the beast's legs and forcing it to focus downward. Josh and Logan reached the base of the platform, climbing onto the scaffolding that supported the machine's operations. The climb was harrowing, each step a gamble as the machine's movement sent vibrations through the structure. Sparks rained down as Chomper continued its relentless attack, its growls a constant backdrop to the chaos. Josh reached the chest plate first, spotting the access panel Carter had pinpointed. I'm at the core. Josh shouted into his comm Carter, what's next? Override the locking mechanism. You'll need to. Carter's voice cut off as an explosion rocked the arena. The beast had slammed into the platform, nearly dislodging the humans. Josh gritted his teeth, steadying himself as he pried the panel open. Logan climbed up beside him, providing cover with a makeshift weapon he'd scavenged from the debris. Hurry up. This thing isn't gonna wait forever. Josh worked quickly, his fingers deftly maneuvering wires and circuits. Below, Chomper leapt onto the beast's back, tearing into its armor with unrelenting fury. The machine faltered, its movements growing sluggish as Josh bypassed its systems. Got it, Josh shouted as he pulled the final wire. The beast let out a distorted roar, its body convulsing before collapsing in a heap of twisted metal. The arena fell silent, the crowd holding its breath as the dust settled. Chomper emerged from the wreckage, bloody but triumphant. The humans descended from the platform, standing beside the creature as the crowd erupted into deafening cheers. The impossible had been achieved, not just by Chomper, but by the humans who had refused to back down.